Hi there, this is Jennifer Moore. Normally I'm from empathicmastery.com, but today I have the privilege of being able to be the special interviewer for the Mommy Rebellion crew over here at the Mommy Rebellion. And you can learn more about Mommy Rebellion at mommyrebellion.com. And so, as you probably know, Chase had a baby back in February. And I am getting to interview the entire Mommy Rebellion crew about what it is like to be a big sister of a brand new baby. So without any further ado, would you introduce yourself and tell us your age and where you fit in the family?
So I'm Lorelei. I'm 12 and I'm the second oldest.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Lorelei. I'm so glad you are here. So the first question is, do you remember the last time your family had a baby?
Not very well. I was 4, but I faintly remember coming home from Girl Scouts.
And so you faintly remember coming home from Girl Scouts, and was that before you had the baby or after the baby, after Clara had been born? Or no, Bella. So there was Bella, actually. You've had 2 babies after you. So do you remember anything about Bella's birth or about what it was like to become a big sister?
Not particularly. I mean, I remember watching Robots downstairs with my grandmother and then having dads coming down, so we had a new baby sister, but that's about it.
Okay. What about Clara?
I remember coming home from Girl Scouts in a dark room, and that's about it.
And that's about it. And so when when did it kind of register that you were the big sister of two other sisters?
I don't know. I don't remember not being a big sister, so.
Right, because you were pretty young.
I
Because
was,
let's see, so Bella is 9 and you're 12, so
she's
you were
8.
like, oh,
She's
she's
8.
8, right, sorry. So that means, okay, so if you're 12, then Bella was 4 when, I mean, you were 4 when Bella was born?
I was 3 when Bella was born. I was 4 when Clara was born.
4 was when Clara was born. Okay. So yeah, you were pretty young when that was happening. Okay, so next question is about your mom getting pregnant with Mivy. So were you excited when you learned that your mom got pregnant?
Yes, I was kind of disbelief. Like it
Yeah.
didn't really seem real.
Yeah, it seems that as I've had the conversation with 2 of your sisters already, that shock is the word that everybody has been using. Yeah. And so did you have any hunches or suspicions that your mom was pregnant before she told you?
Not really, because she had had a concussion before, so all her strange behavior kind of explained into having a concussion.
Yes, as somebody who struggled with a concussion herself, I totally get that. Yeah. Yeah, so it was mostly like shock at first about your mom being pregnant
Yeah,
or surprise? Yeah.
yeah.
And go on.
Kaylee found out first because
Mm-hmm.
she had to know why she'd be doing most of the cooking,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bella because Bella rode over Mom's shoulder.
Yes, I heard about that. I guess Bella has a knack for reading over shoulders. Yeah. Yeah, and Bella was also saying one of the things that Bella said is that the hardest thing was pizza all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got bored of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean and it's funny because I mean I think so many people think of pizza as a treat, but if you eat it every single day, it gets pretty boring.
It does, especially
Yeah.
since we aren't used to doing that.
No, not at all. Yeah. So was there a point once you kind of registered that your mom was pregnant where it did get exciting?
Yes and no. I was also kind of sad because Mavana was never gonna we're all gonna be nervous because we're all gonna be teenagers, or yeah, when Mavana will be 6, Claire will be 12. So there's this having a lot of older siblings and not really having that many playmates. That was kind of upset, confusing and upsetting because it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Although I know that even for me as an adult, I still love to play with people when they're little. And it's sort of like, I think that you guys will probably still be awesome playmates for her, even like when you're like 15 and she's like 3, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We like to joke that we'll randomly take her away for shopping trips and such when she's little.
Yes, exactly. You guys will introduce her actually, and that's actually something that I was asking your other sisters about was, is there anything, especially I was asking Bella this, is there anything that you're really looking forward to introducing her to? Like, is there a book that you can't wait to read to her? Is there a painting or a TV show or a song, or is there any kind of thing that you're just like, or a special place in nature or flower, anything where
The
you're just like,
birds.
birds? Yeah,
I mean, Kay will do probably a bunch of it, but
yeah.
the birds. I've
What
already
kind of,
tried. I've already kind of trying to teach her how to say kitty, so she's been working on that.
yeah, yeah. So introducing her to, and is there any particular bird that you're really excited to share with her?
Oreo, otherwise known as Oreo Nebula, who is my little chicken who follows me around until I pick her up every morning.
Oh, oh,
It's
that is
adorable.
so sweet. Yeah, so really letting her experience chickens and just all of the livestock in your family, in your house. Yeah, yeah. So, next question. Was there anything that you felt worried or concerned about with the new baby?
Again, not being kind of far away from her age level was a bit, yeah, but other than that, kind of. I mean, I already have younger siblings. It can't be too much different.
Right, right. Yeah, you're kind of an old pro at this point in time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of worried about Clara, but 'cause since she's been so used to being the younger sister,
Yeah.
suddenly not being the younger sister might be. I mean, she's doing pretty well, but there are moments when it's like,
Yes, and I will say that as somebody who knows your family, I was a little concerned for Clara, like losing her position as baby in the family. I think, Clara is used to being the queen. So,
is.
yes. And I think Clara is handling it really, really well. Like she's stepped into the big sister role pretty well, which I
Yeah.
imagine, you've modeled what it means to be a good big sister for a while.
That's another thing. When we were little, we used to teach our younger siblings to be mean or something like that. But now that we're older, it's kind of easier not to do that
Yes.
because we know.
Yes. Clara was actually saying that Bella taught her how to be mean, but she's really working on not teaching Mivy to be mean. So Mivy's going to benefit from all of you guys knowing that being mean really isn't such a hot idea. So actually, in some ways, that might be the silver lining on the age difference. That if you guys, if there was less of an age gap, you guys might still not know how to not be mean. But now, as you're older, you have that restraint. So she gets to be her happy self for a long time, you know?
Yeah, because Clara at 5 was a nightmare. So,
Handful would be one of the words I would use. Yeah.
yeah, it was really
Yeah.
annoying. I mean, I still sometimes get super annoyed at her, but I don't get to, like, not very often.
And
But
actually, that leads me to kind of a side question as an older sister, an older sibling. What advice would you give to to other brothers and sisters, older brothers and sisters, about when your little brother or sister is driving you nuts? What do you do? Like, how do you manage it so that you don't just lose it?
well, tell them that you can't be nice to them anymore and walk away usually, or
Mm,
if I had to do that recently,
yeah.
because and my parents always told me to ignore it, but that's really, really hard. So,
It is really, really hard. Yeah, I hear you. It's like it's next to impossible, I think, to ignore something when they're in your face. And I think that your advice of walk away is one of the best pieces of advice anybody could ever give anybody when somebody's annoying them. And so when you walk away, would you go into another room? Like, what are the things that you like to do to calm yourself down after you're feeling irritated and annoyed?
well, I do this thing where I take my thumb and my finger and I rotate it, and it like calms my emotions. Yeah, Mom taught me
Yes.
that from you. So,
Yes, exactly. Isn't it a great technique? Yeah.
yeah, it's like everything is, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do
Yeah.
that usually.
Actually, can we show the audience how to do that? So
So
yeah,
just
right.
rotate
Just
it.
sort of holding the nail bed and just wiggling the finger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much it can really help us to calm down.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
magic.
It is magic. Yeah. So let's see. So this is a two-part question. What did you like about your mom being pregnant?
The idea of having a baby sister, because I don't really remember. The
Uh,
idea of remembering that.
hmm So the idea of having a baby sister. Now, with your mom being pregnant with Mivy, obviously you're old enough, like this was just like a year ago. Did you enjoy putting your hand on her belly and feeling Mivy move? Was that something that you liked?
Yeah, but no, we didn't do it very often because Mom liked to say she had a bubble because Clara would just like pop and it was really annoying
Mhm.
for me. But um, she said she had a bubble, so not very often.
Yeah, yeah. So
But
your
love
mom,
us.
so your mom had like a bubble of protection up around her where she was like, I need,
Yeah,
I need some space.
yeah. Except Clara would try to pop it, and it was really slightly annoying.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There are certain people who definitely are more likely to literally try to push your buttons and pop your bubble than some other people.
Yeah.
And I think that does go back to the question of, or the advice that you had about when somebody's annoying you to walk away.
Yeah, and back in the summer, when I got super annoyed, I walk away and go pick tomatoes.
That sounds
We
very
have a
smart.
tomato jungle.
I
So
know the tomato crop this year was crazy. Like I had so many tomatoes that, but I actually learned a really important lesson about tomatoes this year, which is once frost has hit tomatoes and you try to harvest your cherry tomatoes, they taste horrible. If they've been frozen, they get really, really bitter and you cannot cook with them because I was going to make this really huge batch of sauce and I was using I used all of my the cherry tomatoes that had gotten sort of not quite hard frost. So just word of advice, don't try to make tomato sauce with frozen tomatoes or tomatoes that have been frozen on the vine.
yeah,
Anyway,
just
that has nothing to do with new babies. So the second part of the question was, what did you not like about your mom being pregnant?
well, we only just got Legos because we had to wait till Clara was ready to have Legos, and now we have to put them all away again and get
Mm,
out the Duplos. So having that whole needing to baby-proof the house and such things was not ideal, but
yeah, yeah. Well, and was there anything about, with your mom being pregnant that you found challenging, like mood swings or diet? I mean, I know eating pizza all the time was not something that, Bella was talking about that, but just sort of,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, she'd bribe us with ice cream to do chores and like clean the kitchen and that sort of thing.
Oh,
Uh,
that's not bad.
and I also learned like when we weren't buying pizza, she'd be giving us instructions and we'd be making dinner with my older sister. So that was what we did. I
Mhm.
still help make dinner periodically with Kim.
Yeah. So in a way, there were some things that it sounds like you guys actually developed some skills and you got a bunch of ice cream because your mom because your mom had needed some help and needed support with being pregnant and especially with your dad being off in India at the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah, she still does that periodically. We have to earn ice cream instead of just getting it. I mean, sometimes
Yes.
we get it when it's extremely hot, but usually we have
Yes.
to earn it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for earning ice cream.
Half the time it feels like it's not worth it, and why am I still doing this? But
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing. It's like I think we're much more likely to question the value of like, is this really worth it to me? Do I really want to do this chore for ice cream instead of just when somebody can have ice cream anytime? I think I don't know, like you don't take it as, you don't necessarily weigh it out, the value of it that much.
Most of the time, it's you do this and then you get ice cream. It's not like you get a choice between it. So it's like, I'm just gonna finish this and
Yes. So that at least you get the reward of the ice cream. Yeah.
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 Digging fence pole holes, that was annoying.
That, yeah. Digging fence pole holes is quite a job.
To be 2 feet deep when we use the pole digger and the thingy, the bar.
Yeah.
And that was challenging. Yeah, that was.
It's
Especially when it got
work.
really hot.
Yeah. 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 We drove stakes this year for our garden. We just used the big metal stakes instead of needing, doing fence posts because we don't have any livestock. And even that was definitely a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we had the whole tree garden this year, so that all had to be done. So there were rewards.
A lot of digging.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It got to a chance and I would joke that I've been promoted from using the shovel to being the shovel.
Uh-huh.
To get the stuff at the bottom, and the rocks and all that such, because that was my job.
Right. You had to get down in there and pull out everything that's sort of down in the bottom of the hole. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to rebury all the rocks back into the hole using the fence post so that the fence post is strong.
Yeah. There's an art. It's definitely an art form to put in stakes and fence posts well, for sure. Yeah. So next question. What surprised you about Mivy?
How calm she is and how much she actually likes, like, she's not just a mom girl. If we don't wake up, she'll like get upset. Like I slept into almost 10 the other day, and Kate told me that she kept talking about me.
That's so sweet. Yeah, I have to say I've really noticed that too, that she is so attached to all of you guys that she definitely is interested in not just going to mom, but that she just wants to be with all of you. And I'm really struck by what a happy person she is too. She is just such a sweet person.
Yeah, she's my little angel. She actually will call our names.
Yeah.
And fuss when we walk away, and we have to actually like wave and say bye bye, Mivy, because otherwise she just she gets upset.
Right. So she needs to know that you're heading out of the room or something.
Yeah, because she's going through the anxiety stage thing. So
right.
Especially with Agu is our father having to go up, for work. So his full name is Agu Ada or Ada Agu, one or the other, and that's what she calls him. Is one or the other. It's adorable.
It is very adorable. Well, and Bella was telling me about your name as well. So how does she say your name?
So I was Lala for a while, and now I'm Lorelei.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm Lorelei.
Lorelei.
Yeah, it has to be multiple.
Yeah, multiple times. That's really special.
Yeah, and Kaylee's hey KK.
Hey KK. Yeah.
Her adopted calling her that periodically.
And I've heard Bella said that she hasn't really come up with names for Clara and Bella yet. Have you noticed anything?
Well, right before she started saying my name, she kept going la 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 la, but she didn't mean me. Now, like she seems to say Bubba a lot, and I'm not sure that means is that her name for Bubba. And Clara's heard her say Kara a few times. So,
oh, good. Yeah. So she is starting to get names for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, the ducks are Dadas, not to be confused with Ada, who is our dad. It's Dadas. Those are everything with feathers. I had to convince her that Mittens, who's our kitten, is not a Dada.
And so has she come up with any names for kittens yet, or does she, or cats yet?
Well, she called her Mumu once, which is her nickname. So, and I'm trying to get her to say kitty, so she'll be very close to saying kitty periodically.
Yeah. It's really, you just reminded me of when my mom got her her grandmother name many years ago, because my nephew, the oldest nephew, is like, he's 25 now. And there was this time where my mom was taking care of him, and he was standing in his crib, and he was going, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." And then all of a sudden he looked at my mom and realized it wasn't his mother. And he reversed the syllables and he started to go, "Mima, Mima, Mima." And so my mom became Mima, because, and that stuck, like that became her special name. And we all call her Mima now. Like, we've been calling her Mima for over 25 years now,
Yeah,
or almost 25 years. Yeah, it's
yeah.
very
My
fun.
grandmother, Kaylee, named her Nin younger,
Nin. Mm-hmm.
and I called her Ninny, and
Ninny.
Bella called her Nina, and Clara
Mm-hmm.
called her Ninim. So
Mm-hmm.
we wonder what Mavani's going to call her, but we
That's,
usually just stick with Nin and Ninny.
yeah, yeah. It's so neat how every family has these special names for each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we it was Dad's birthday, so we tried to write a birthday card for Mavani. So it said "Dear Agu"
Oh,
on it because that's what she calls him.
yeah. That's very sweet. So, I'm just thinking, the question of what surprised you about your little sister. And just, I think, like, just that she is just such a happy baby that wants to be with everybody.
Yeah,
Is there anything else that surprised you about her?
she gets so excited that she'll slap my face, but I don't really mind because it's the sheer joy on her face
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
dance with her. She likes
Mm,
to be bounced and danced with. Like she loves this band called Pamplemousse,
yes.
which
Yeah.
we discovered because of her liking it as a baby, I think, as still in the room. So she likes this band called Pamplemousse, and they actually have really good music, and she'll dance like she likes it a lot.
I was telling Bella, because she mentioned pamplemousse as well, and I actually love the word pamplemousse because it's the French word for grapefruit.
I thought it was
And
pineapple.
I was taught it was grapefruit.
I said it was, oh, well, one or the other. The
Yeah,
fruit.
it's a fruit. But I was actually, at least when I studied it, and when I was in French, when I was taking French class, I learned it was a grapefruit. So if it's a pineapple, then I was miseducated, which
Either one, it's a fruit, and it's
it
like
is a
calling
fruit.
a band
And it's a
vanilla or something, and
fantastic
it's
name for a
funny.
band. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do really good music. Like they do.
Yes, and what I love about it too is that she's, I guess she's just been a really musical person from the time she came out of the womb.
Well, I mean, I was humming when I was a few days old.
Mm,
But I used to hum myself to sleep with a tune.
yes.
She
Yeah.
groans herself to sleep.
She groans
She
herself to
goes,
sleep.
mm. That's her sleeping noise, and if you do it at her, she'll go to sleep. Um, so
Oh, how cool is that?
it'll help her go to sleep when she's crying in the car because it's too dark and she wants to be home.
Yeah, yeah.
She also likes to be home at a certain time before it gets dark, which is hard because we have Girl Scout night.
Right,
And my
right.
Girl Scout's from 5 to 7, so it'll be
It
dark on the
is
way home.
exactly. It is what it is. So that actually kind of leads me to the next question, which is, what do you find frustrating or not like about having a little sister or about her?
Not much, actually. I really like her, but periodically, um, just how Clara is sometimes. Like, she doesn't want Mavonne to play with the Legos because she built this house and all this stuff, and it's a bit annoying. Like, I'm not annoyed at Mavonne. It's just like Mavonne should get to play with them. That's the whole reason we bought them out.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not really annoyed at Mavonne.
Yeah, yeah.
I love her so much.
I will say that having interviewed the three of you, obviously with Kay being sick, I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet, but it's striking how all three of you have kind of, like, when I've asked that particular question, you've kind of gone like, nothing. Like, she's really awesome. She's just great.
She is.
So yeah, I have to say, I've been around a lot of babies over the years, and your sister is really special. She's a very special baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she is. Yeah, I love. Yeah, she's my.
yeah,
Yeah, I
she's,
like to joke that she's my baby.
yeah, yeah. So that leads me to the next question, which is, Do you think that your relationship with your little sister will change as she grows or as you both grow? And you kind of touched on that about the age difference. And I know Bella was really aware of that. Like she commented like, yeah, we're going to be out of the house and doing our thing when she's still a kid.
Yeah, because I want to go to college and be an astrophysicist, so there'll be
Yeah.
that sort of relationship. We used to
Right.
listen to a story when we were younger about these five girls, and then eventually they became seven with a boy and then another girl. But one of the girls was in college. They periodically talk, like the two oldest were in college. They periodically talk over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And for the youngest, who is Lydia, who is like 11 or 12-ish, and her older siblings are like her two oldest are getting married. So
Mm-hmm.
it's this, but even though this is happening, she's still close to them when they come.
Yeah.
And it's these, and it's quite interesting because it's kind of like what our family has become in a way.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I have a couple friends who come from really big families where they have brothers and they have nephews who are and nieces who are nearly their own age because of the age difference.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
friend at Girl Scout who is an aunt, but one of her aunts, like one of her, yeah, is 16 years old. So it's
Wow.
actually older than her. She's
Yeah.
also adopted, so there's that, but
Yeah.
she'll periodically talk about that, like having a niece who is 16.
Right, exactly. Yeah, having a niece that's older than you, it's a really interesting configuration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause mom like to say we'll have a built-in babysitter.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, in your house, it's like there's always somebody to take Mivy and to carry her around and play with her and dance with her.
Yeah, that's what mom likes is that she's not having older siblings. She can just pass Mavonwi to someone while she goes to the bathroom or have some alone time. Um,
Exactly.
so that's what she likes, and I like that.
And that is just such an incredibly important thing to be able to pass to be able to have help with babies.
Yeah, when I like look at other people's families and like sometimes it's strange like the relationship I have with my siblings because it's
Hmm.
so like even though Claire is annoying, I still like love her a lot and like when even when and Bella is my I tease with her, she teases with me. It's this ongoing calling each other names but not really meaning it sort of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
And I won't let Kay go out in the rain to do the birds by herself ever. Um, that's actually where I was before I came here, was helping Kay with the birds.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And well, especially since Kay's not feeling really great right now, helping her with the birds was a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, it's kind of become our routine is that we both go out around 4-ish, 5-ish, and we do the birds.
Hmm. Hmm.
And hopefully we're done before dinner.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
are the birds going to be annoying?
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Well, and you touched on something about relationships with sisters and about just, what I was really hearing in that is just how special your relationship with your sisters is.
Yeah, because my grandmother, she said that she like envies our relationship that we have with each other because she didn't have that relationship with her siblings.
Yeah.
Um, but I can't actually imagine not having that relationship with them. It's just we care about each other so much, and other siblings aren't quite so much about like that.
Right,
Um,
right.
so it's this. I'm really glad how special the relationship we have with each other.
Yeah, it's funny when I think about it, families where their brothers and sisters are really close and as opposed to families that are kind of estranged. Um, and I don't know what necessarily is what's in the equation. It seems to me like a lot of times larger families often have a tighter connection than smaller families. But even with that, I've seen wide variation with closeness.
Yeah, my grandfather who used to work as I don't know what he did, but now he's a genealogist, but he's like
Hmm.
really good at science. But anyway, he says that like if someone's in the 2-year radius, they're more likely to fight with each other.
Hmm.
And me and Kay used to fight like younger siblings because we say we're 2 years apart because it's only
Hmm.
2 weeks between being 2 years apart.
Hmm. Hmm.
But now we don't fight that often. It's more of an understanding and we don't tend to fight that much.
Yeah. Although it's funny because I've also seen brothers and sisters where there's like a year between them. Like my mom had, my mom is what's called in a term is called being an Irish twin. And it's sort of this idea of like you're born like with 13 months between or like a year on either side. So my mom is the second oldest and her brother was born 13 months before her. My mom was born. So he was born, I think, in December. And then, or he was born either in December or January. Then my mom was born in mid-February. And then her sister was born exactly 13 months later in March. And they were like really close. They were incredibly close. And so they kind of were like, so we used to joke that they were Irish triplets. And, but I think, and so I actually think that it's sort of like there's this way that young, like close together in age are more likely to be close than when you have that sort of weird, like 2-3 year difference. Because, yeah.
Yeah, I listened to a story and there are these two twins, but they're like super, super close with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're Nephilim, so they're half angel, half human. And
Mm.
the protection they have with each other is great because they're like, I'll kill you if you hurt him and that sort of thing. And it's quite like but even when they were 10 was when we first met them in a different series because all the series interlocks into an entire world. So that's fun. But how close they are. Yeah.
Well, and that sort of goes into one of the questions I was asking you earlier about, is there any book or anything that you're like if you, do you have a favorite book that someday you're just going to be like, I need to give this to Mivy?
Well, I don't really have books. I more like listen to books.
Okay, so audio book that you want to share with her.
Well, I really like, it's called The Mortal Instruments. And then I don't remember what the series is called because I'm only on the first book, but it's this world, but all the books interconnect to each other. And it's this book of Nephilim and they call themselves Shadow Hunters.
Yes.
And Downworlders, which are the fair folk and warlocks and vampires and werewolves. And this whole community of how everything works. And how being a Nephilim and training to be a warrior is different from being mortal, but like how they still have the same human basing. Like they're not actually supposed to have a computer, but yet they do. And they have phones and the automobile and they go shopping periodically. And they tease each other in the way which is so sibling-like. Yeah. Like I can see myself doing that when I'm older to my younger siblings. It's like
absolutely.
Because they tease each other. I love it when book authors get that, the whole sibling tease but love each other sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's funny. My mom, the older brother of my mom, he was, oh my God, did he like to tease everybody? Like his way of expressing love was by teasing people. And I don't know, I personally have kind of a broken humor mechanism. So sometimes I understand when somebody's teasing me and somebody's being funny. And other times I'm just like, I totally don't get it. So, it sounds like you understand what teasing is and recognize it for what it is and don't take it too personally.
Yeah, my father does that a lot. But in the story, so he was telling her what happened. He's like, after they were done talking to me, which was, of course, the best part. He just teases and it's fun. Because this 12-year-old girl who later becomes a character in this new story, they asked her how she got here and she's like, I climbed through the window. Jules told me not to. He said I'd get myself killed, but I wouldn't, and he worries too much. But it's this whole, because they grew up together.
Yeah, this banter back and forth. Yeah. So the next question I've got for you is, this is a piece of advice. So I'm going to ask you about your wisdom and piece of advice for parents who are introducing a new brother or sister into the family. So like, what would you say? How do you, and I guess one way to ask it would be, if there was anything that you would want your mom or dad to do differently, what would it have been?
Not entirely sure.
Like, is there any way that they could have introduced the idea that you were going to have another baby in the family? Is there anything they could have said differently, or is it pretty like
Well,
they handled it well?
yeah, what I personally want to be told before Bella, but just because I'm older. So
Hmm.
that was an interesting thing, but it's not like the actor purposely told Bella before me. She wrote over his shoulder.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, and if you get a chance, I'm assuming you'll get to see the interview. What I will tell you is that talking with Bella about the fact that she had to keep this secret was really hard.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it sounds like she kind of agonized over that a bit. Like, and I don't think she necessarily meant to find it out either. And then she's like stuck, like having to keep it from you. I
yeah,
can't even imagine.
because she made this doll from Havana when she was older, and she couldn't tell Clara who she made it for, and Clara was just needling her about who it is and what, because Clara does that.
Yes.
She tries to get the information, even though people don't want to tell you things. She tries to get it out of
Oh,
people
yeah. Yeah.
a
I
lot.
would say, do you know the
So
word tenacious? Are you familiar with that vocabulary word?
I feel like I've heard it before, but I
Yeah,
can't,
so
like in a book, but I can't remember what it
tenacious
means.
is like when you kind of sink your teeth into something and you will not let it go. And like you're just determined to get what you want. And I would say if there is a word for Clara, tenacious is one of them. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing I'm really hearing, and it's interesting with having talked with three of you guys now and about this whole thing with the fact that basically Bella figured out that your mom was pregnant and she needed to kind of keep it on under wraps, that it sounds to me like the biggest challenge is like everybody being on the same page at the same time.
Yeah, because we couldn't tell I didn't want to tell Clara until I knew if it was a girl or a boy. We had to
Right.
continue to keep the secret, um, which is good practice because now we're doing Secret Sister, and I
Yeah.
like to be devious. So
Yeah.
secret. So I actually can't tell you because I might actually know the thing, but it's quite interesting because I'm devious. I told them straight up I was going to be devious. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
hmm yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a real catch 22 or a real challenging situation in the sense of your mom was waiting to be sure about the gender, and then also Bella was saying that the whole thing of you also just need to be sure you're kind of out of the woods and through that first trimester, because sometimes a pregnancy doesn't take, and if everybody is counting on that baby, it's kind of like I
yeah,
would imagine it's much harder if everybody's waiting and then it doesn't work.
yeah.
So
The problem is keeping secrets with each other because even if you don't tell the certain sister, you like to talk to the other sister about it. And keeping secrets from everybody is this interesting, hard thing to do.
it's really hard in a family to keep secrets. I mean, and I think about some of the things in my family where there were secrets and there were reasons for having the secrets, but how hard it is for the person who's left out of the loop. Like they don't get it. They don't understand why they weren't told.
Yeah, the whole idea of keeping a secret does not work well.
No, no,
Um, like people will actually like, "What's my biggest secret?" And it's like I don't have one.
no,
I
no.
have, I have now four sisters. How
How
do
could you
you keep a
possibly keep
secret?
secrets? Right, right. There's a saying that I really that I kind of live by, which is you're as sick as your secrets, which basically means anytime you try to stuff something down or keep it hidden, secrets generally get you in trouble.
Generally, yeah, it
Yeah.
happens a lot in books and stories.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a fan of like some things I will keep in confidence. Like I really, if it's not my business to share it, I hold it in confidence. But I personally believe like it's like I'll even do secret inventories, kind of like I'll just sort of like scan myself and be like, is there anything that I'm withholding or anything that I'm trying to keep a secret? Because I don't really think it's necessarily that good for us as human beings to keep secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, next question. What advice would you give to other kids who are about to become an older brother or sister? who are about to have a new baby in their family.
Try to be nice, even though sometimes it's super hard because they get all the attention, but try to be.
Mm-hmm.
And also recognize it for who she is. Because
Yeah.
Mavonwe is this wonderful, beautiful little baby who likes to play and loves her young siblings being here. And if you're not here, it's confusing. She'll
Yeah.
call for you if you haven't woken up at a certain time. She likes having this routine.
Yeah.
And it's not just the baby, it's Mavonwe.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm really hearing you say there is relate to her as a human being, not just a thing that just got added to your family, but this is a real living, breathing human being with a personality and who cares about you, and you can care about her.
She
Is
definitely has her own personality.
Yeah, she definitely does have her own personality for sure.
Yeah. Mom
Yeah.
said she was making opinions that since she was the size of a pea, so
Yes. Yes. She definitely has opinions. And, when you were talking about just like try to be nice. So let's talk about let's talk a bit about like, what does that really mean? Like, how are you nice? Like, what do you do to actually be nice?
I don't know. I kind of fell in love with her. She kind of had me
Mm,
wrapped around her little finger pretty quickly.
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, in some ways, it seems to me like you guys were really lucky because, so actually, let's backpedal a little bit here, or go back in the time machine with your other baby sister and
I
talking
don't
about
remember.
Clara.
Mm-hmm.
And so Clara wasn't necessarily as like Clara and Mivy have such totally different personalities. Like, Mivy is just like, she's just this ray of sunshine and she's happy all the time. Clara, on the other hand, as we were saying, she's tenacious.
Yeah, we have
So,
to. Yeah, we have to be careful not to call her a princess so much because that's what we did with Clara, and now she thinks she's the queen.
right. Well, I think Clara was destined to be the queen no matter what anybody did. But actually, my question to you in terms of advice is, with Mivy, it's really easy to be nice because she is nice and she is so sweet and she is just such a happy, joyful person and she's just so full of love
It's hard
that
not to be happy
it's
when you see
hard
her.
not to respond that way. But with Clara, where she could be kind of demanding and pushy and cranky at times,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, how did you like we all know Clara's boss. Like that's just kind of the bottom line here. What did you do? Like what advice would you give to a big brother or sister to deal with being nice when you've got a bossy little brother or sister?
Well, people say ignore them. Don't ignore them. That now causes Clara to be super loud, so everyone causes her to be heard because we just ignore her.
Yeah.
That's something I wish I did not do. So just don't ignore them. But also, um, now I have to like tell her she's being annoying, or tell her I can't do this anymore, or I can't be nice to you. I'm going away.
Yeah, yeah. And so I love what you're saying, that you're clarifying something really important, which is if you just ignore her and you pretend she's not doing anything, she doubles down. She gets louder, she gets more intense. She's like in your face. But if you acknowledge her and you say, I hear you and you're annoying me right now and I need to step away, it's like you're holding her accountable and you're setting a boundary with her. You're setting a limit. You're saying, this behavior is not getting you what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Because she, like, even now, she gives me this face that just infuriates me.
Mm-hmm.
It's this, like, I'm bossier than you, like, this is, like, I am superior. And it's hard not to get annoyed at that face. Because Bella periodically, like, she walks away from Clara when she's being annoying, but then Clara will scream after her and she has to come back because Dad's working. And it's this whole, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a bit of a mess.
hmm
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you talk about that face because I have one of my fairy godchildren was when she's now an adult, but when she was a little girl, I have never seen like a haughtier like haughty like HAUGHTY like haughty queen. She could cop attitude. She was 2 and she could make these faces that were just like, she gave people shade and side eye like nobody's business. And she could look at you with this like, oh no, you didn't. That just, it's like I was like a full grown adult and this 2-year-old could look at me and she, with this look of superiority where I was like, did I just get like bettered by a toddler?
Yeah, she has a lot of sass. She does that.
Yeah.
She likes to be the queen, and she likes people to do what she wants them to do.
Right.
But so we also had to learn to say no in a strong voice, not just be like not in a little girl voice. You have to say no in a strong voice, which I personally struggled with.
Right.
Because what is a strong voice?
Right. Without yelling or screaming.
Exactly. You want to yell or scream, but you want to do it in a strong voice. So what is the boundary between them? So
exactly. How can you be clear and firm, but remain kind, but also, and it's a very fine dance in terms of not getting sucked into a power struggle with them, but also not just losing your voice with them. Yeah.
That person problem, I don't have it in front of me.
Mm-hmm. No.
She doesn't seem to be that queen-like. It might have been that Clara was the youngest from the beginning. So she always, and again, we called her a princess when she was little because we loved her and all this stuff. So I have to be careful not to do that with Mavonli.
Yeah.
Even though I want to.
Although I also think that people come out with their personalities, and it certainly just seems like Clara has this incredibly fiery, queenie personality, and
stubborn.
And
she doesn't want to be called stubborn.
Stubborn, yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah.
Oh, one's called Bella stubborn, and she's like, she did not want me to call her stubborn ever again.
Yeah.
Even though stubborn can be a good thing.
Stubborn can be a really good thing. Well, and that's the other thing with Clara is like she has got a fire and a sass, and like she's a warrior, and
She reminds me of this character in my book who is stubborn, and when she gets her mind stuck on something, she is not giving up on it. But that's like what Clara would be in when she's 16, because it's like this whole when she gets her mind to something, there's no convincing her otherwise. She's doing it, even if it is suicidal.
Well, and that's kind of like RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That was one of her very best traits, was the fact that when she set her mind on something, she would just not like compromise. She was like, she was like, no, I'm going to stand up for justice, and I'm going to stick to my guns about what I know is the better thing. And so hopefully Clara will be able to use her powers for good, and that you guys can teach her how to temper it so that she recognizes how not to be a bully, but at the same time she never loses that incredible fire that she's got.
Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was amazing.
Yeah.
And the thought that Clara could be that is also amazing, because she could totally, if she puts her mind to it, she could totally.
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, I think we just set up a job. I think you and I just figured it out. Clara's going to become a lawyer, and eventually she's going to become a judge, and then eventually she'll become a justice, and
she'll serve on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and Clara will be on the Supreme Court someday, and Clara is going to make this world a better place.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And by not ignoring her, but also by saying, you need to tone it down a little bit, or I'm going to walk out of this room, you're teaching her how to have some control over the way she deals with stuff.
Yeah, we watched this show about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and who she was, and how her mother said to fight, but like not get angry. Like the quickest way to win an argument, the word I can't say, is to not get angry.
Well, yeah. And what she said, one of the things that she said that has really got me thinking is the best way to win an argument is through persuasion, not through like putting people down or trying to like say, you're wrong and this is why, but instead to get people excited about the possibility of what can be.
Yeah, that's something like I do. Like, I'm not going to on purposely make someone upset because I think that my reason is right and their reason is wrong, or Kay's more likely to fight that her reason is right. I'll say, you're allowed to have your own opinions, but even though I personally know that, like, say, birds are actually dinosaurs, we had this conversation with our neighbor, and I personally know it's correct, but I'm not going to fight until something like you scream or something like that. You are entitled to your own opinions.
Right, right. Well, and I don't know if you're coming to this place in your life where you're starting to realize that some people's capacity to perceive the complexity of a situation is actually not the same as maybe how you can see something. So, like,
Yep.
some people just look at a chicken and they see a chicken. Some of us look at a chicken and we see all of the steps along the evolutionary chain, and we recognize the pterodactyl at the back of that identity. And I think it's a fascinating thing how some of us really do have an ability to understand things and see all the sequences, whereas some people just kind of look right at the front.
Yeah, the expression of what was the I had this in I forgot.
Yeah.
But the yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's go back to the question, which was the giving, what kind of advice you give other people about becoming an older brother or sister. And just really such an important question, because you were saying, it's like, it's about being nice, even if you don't want to be sometimes. But I also really heard you say, it's like you need to have a no, and your no needs to be firm, but not mean. And your no needs to be very clear when somebody's doing something that's not okay.
but they also need to know that you love them, and that's the reason that you're not saying. And you also need to accept your responsibilities. And if you do something wrong, like personally, accept it, because then you're teaching them this is what you do.
Yes.
Because no one's perfect. I personally know this because I'm in charge of dishes, and they always get out of hand.
Oh,
So you have to own up to your responsibility and not just.
absolutely. Yeah, we have a term in our household for dishes. It's called, we have dishes. You know how people talk about having issues? We have dishes. It's the biggest point of contention in our house, because I totally hear you. Even with just two of us and a dog, we manage to make dishes. It's like, it's a never ending pile. It just never goes away. Yeah.
Spent 2 hours today washing dishes because I didn't have a chance to wash them for 2 days,
Oh,
and I still haven't gotten them all done yet.
I feel your pain. My heart goes out to you. Yeah, I just, it's so easy too, especially if, like, you're focused on a cooking project or something, and it's like, and then the dishes pile up on the counter. Oh, it's a pain in the butt.
Especially with 7 people. But something
No
that helps
kidding.
me concentrate with
Hmm.
doing the dishes is this. I get to listen to my audiobook. And I love
That's
my audiobook
awesome.
because it's so interesting. So, but I have to periodically remind myself not to pause in the middle because it's interesting and I forget to wash the dishes.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
only so right now it's only happening once or twice, but when I was younger, I did not wash the dishes. So I got handed to the laundry because I was too busy in my world because I can
Yeah,
just go into a world
yeah,
of
absolutely.
so
Yeah. Yeah, I really like to listen to podcasts and audiobooks as well when I'm washing dishes or when I'm doing chores, because I find it so much easier when I'm doing that than if I'm just like doing it with nothing, nothing to keep my mind occupied. It
if I do that,
definitely
I'll
makes it
zone out
easier.
into my own world and completely forget that I was actually supposed to be doing this because
Oops.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really want to pull out the piece of advice that you just gave that's so important, and that is that it's a combination of being really firm with your no, but also being clear that you're letting the people in your life know that you love them. So
That's
that,
why you're saying no.
yeah, and it's why you're saying it. Yeah, that is so important. Okay, so last two pieces of question, and then I'll give you a chance to sort of summarize or say anything else that comes into your mind. But last questions are, first thing, what is your favorite thing to do with your little sister?
Well, I like to dance and bounce with her.
Yeah.
When I pick her up, I'll put her into the air, and it makes her like I like to make her laugh.
Yeah.
She has a
Yeah.
pretty like her laugh actually sounds like ha 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 ha, but it doesn't because it has emotion behind it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Her laugh is so beautiful. It's just, her laugh is like medicine that this world needs so much right now.
Yeah, I know the expression having love in your eyes is because I
Yeah.
imagine that's what I look when I look at her. That's what I have because
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the next question I have for you, and the last question is, what are the things that you just adore about her? What do you love about her?
Again, her laugh and her willingness to spend time with us,
Mm.
her
Mm.
connection she has with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, she'll let us come out, like she likes to swing with us, but she doesn't make up a too big fuss when we get dizzy and we have to stop.
Yeah.
And the way we can distract her when a goo comes up by being distracting and interesting,
Mm.
because that's hard for her because she has to say goodbye and she doesn't like doing that
Right.
until he
Right.
comes down. She also has it in her head when Agu comes down. So if Agu does not come down at this when it's his break time, like what's going on?
Right. Right. She's got the rhythm inside of her. She's anticipating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and as we've been talking about what it has been like, that she was born basically like a month and a half before lockdown, how incredibly different her experience of the world has been, that she's had everybody around her for the pretty much for the first 8, because I mean, your dad was on maternity leave, or paternity leave, actually, technically, on paternity leave right after, like when she was born. And then pretty much right when paternity leave would have been ending and he would have been going back to work, we went into lockdown. So it's, she's never not been with her whole family.
Well, she kind of has because we usually all because after work, Dad comes down. We watch TV together as a family
Mm-hmm.
after dinner, or after me and Kay are done with the birds. She also thinks that anyone who's not wearing a mask is either a family member and is allowed to hold her. So Kay will FaceTime with her best friend. And Kay likes to assume like what Maranoi's saying by her expressions because she can do that with her ducks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she likes to think that like, why aren't you holding me? You don't have a mask on, so why aren't you holding me? It's adorable.
It is really adorable. Yeah, I had an experience a couple months ago where I had been quarantining for ages, and my friends who are kind of like our pod had been quarantining for ages as well, but we had just gone and gotten some takeout, and we were dropping off some takeout. And my youngest friend, he's about 4 years old, and I was wearing a mask, and he's standing on the porch and he's about 10 feet away from me, and I can just see the wheels turning in his head, and he's like, "That's Jen. I always hug Jen." And so I could just see him, and he's like, you could almost like imagine like a 4-year-old just kind of going, "Eff it, I'm going to go do this now." And he just like sort of like decided, and he just ran over and he just came over and he hugged my thigh and just gave me this like, like sort of hit and run hug. But it's funny though with these littles where masks are definitely this sort of boundary, and yet even with a mask on, he knew that I was part of his family.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
at the farmer's market said that like, with wearing the mask, it makes people pay attention to the eyes, and that's one of the most important features. So paying
I
attention to it makes you pay attention to the eyes and body language.
Absolutely. Well, and I have this experience sometimes when I'm in the grocery store or things like that, where I'm smiling at people, and it's almost like you can tell the people who are looking at you and smiling back versus the people who are just kind of like minding their own business and everything. So I totally
Yeah.
agree that our eyes really, it's like we reveal so much. So this has been an awesome interview. Lorelei, thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with me. It's been so wonderful getting a chance to like you and me alone having a conversation. It's
It
been
doesn't happen
really
very
neat.
often.
No, it
Alone time does
doesn't.
not happen at my house.
No. Well, and you know, I mean, even with your mom, I get to do alone time with her sometimes, but usually Mivy is there. And a lot of times, especially earlier, Clara would always like bust in. So
She
it's
does that.
been really a pleasure. So, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want the audience to know from Mommy Rebellion?
Not particularly. I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, this was an amazing conversation.
Really enjoy talking to you.
I really enjoy talking to you too. Really awesome talking with you. Yeah. So, as we come to the end of this interview, if you are interested in learning more about the Mommy Rebellion, do you know the URL for the Mommy Rebellion? Want to
No.
tell everybody where to? Oh, okay. Well, keep this. Yeah, you can say it's mommyrebellion.com, and that's where people can go to get a sort of a chunk of awesome stories from Chase's book, Mommy Rebellion, and to learn more about being part of this amazing tribe of people. So, Lorelei, thank you so much for answering my questions and talking with me about what it's like to have this awesome little sister. And thank you so much for talking about being nice, and also, instead of just saying, just be nice, for really sharing how to do these things so that it's not just like well, how do I do it? You actually really talked about how, and that's an
Yeah,
important piece.
because
Yeah.
I personally, if someone just told me, like, people tell me to be nice, and it's like, how?
What do
Because
you even
sometimes
mean?
sometimes you can't.
Right, right.
It's
Yeah.
just so,
And I
it comes to a point when you
loved
can't.
that you recognize that just ignore it is not an effective strategy, and that it's much better to acknowledge and say, this is not working, and there are consequences to your behavior.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I just really want to thank you again for this opportunity to chat with you. And for all of you viewers who have been here with us, head on over to mommyrebellion.com. And please also, down below, hit the share button and pass this along to other people who would find this useful. Okay, Lorelei, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll connect sometime soon.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye, honey.
Bye.